this one is about patterns, and the reason I'm going down this track right at the outset is because so many people seem to be keen on turning their decks into something they're not. If you've got a tarot deck and you decide that all of your swords are going to be air signs, you're probably not barking up the right tree there. Can they be? Yes. Are they? Actually, no. There is nowhere in Eliphas Levi's or Arthur Waite's or the Thoth where in their original writings they even seem to think or care about the sun signs particularly. For the suits, I have seen those saying, that the suits it give you the months, but it doesn't add up. The timing's wrong. For turning your court cards into sun signs and periods of times, the timing is wrong. When I say that, I mean, sorry, the numbers are wrong. You've got 4 suits that are all court cards, 4 4s are 16s, you've got 12. So then you say, let's adjust that, we'll just drop the pages from that. Well, they're court cards. So it becomes a matter of now you are not defining your cards correctly, you're compromising their integrity when you do readings. It's a really serious danger to start just getting and winging it. Now, the best way to get timing information is clairvoyantly, intuitively. If you're good at that, awesome. If you're not so good at that and you're looking at the cards for that information, or if you're reading for yourself and don't want to get hoodwinked by your own desires or fears, then you can bring your cards into play. One thing though, if you're going to do a timing spread, it is valuable to ask your question and look at the cards in relation to that question, which may negate your need to look at timing. For example, if you've asked, am I going to get this job, or is this business going to come out, or what am I going to do, and you get a really negative response, timing becomes moot. If you start adding timing into it, then all you're doing is making it up. You've decided, well, even though I'm getting a no, or it doesn't look like it's going to happen, if I put a timing question into that, then what are you asking timing for? You will get information that you want, not necessarily information that is accurate. So we'll get into this. Any cards, these are my Lenormand deck, my little new Lenormand. I love these, they're so cute. I've always been a fan of Lenormand, and I got a bit distressed when I saw these being dropped off, a lot of them. And then I saw, while there's a modernisation and things is okay to modernise to a certain extent, and I don't really have any issue, like that's a fairly modern looking little card there. The reality there is that if you're going to call them Lenormand, they better be Lenormand. I'm a bit of a purist that way. If they're not Lenormand, do what you like. These are my Sacred Souls Oracle deck. They are a picture reading deck. Okay, so essentially you can buy a book on Amazon that goes with this deck. If you're reading for yourself, there's 260 symbols, but they are a really good picture reading deck. They've gone out the door quite well at the moment for those that want something more complicated, if you like, or more complex than say oracle cards or any cards. These ones are mine as well, but they have writing on them, you see. Now, depends how you feel about the writing thing. All cards tend to have a meaning. So you can buy this deck, never look at the book, and make them your own. If you want to be purely 100% intuitive, a couple of things you might need to learn. The symbols here for the planets, as you can see there. Every planet is represented in this deck. There's Neptune, made obvious by the fact that it's a little fork, and we all know that, the 3-pronged fork, and the planet behind it is blue. As you go through, you will find that all of the planets actually and all of the sun signs are represented in these cards. They, colour-wise, are a lot brighter than that. I'll just show you there. They are definitely full of colour. And so as you go through them, you'll notice these different aspects. Here we go again. You can see, you might not see it as clearly. Yes, you can, beautifully. There you go. Look at that. You've got another symbol there. And they're all the way through. If they show up, and you're reading, you don't need to go any further. You can just go, okay, so this is making sense here in the reading, and we look like we've got the Ram, or we look like we've got Taurus, or we look like we've got Mercury, whichever Jupiter, Mars. So with those indications, they can indicate a state. For example, if you see Mars in a reading and there's a bit of an issue with a couple, or a boss or employees, whatever that might be, it's pretty good to say, and pretty fair to say, that the chances are pretty good that there's going to be a bit of a war going on, that there's going to be dissension or arguments, or somebody's in battle mode, so look out. But also, if you come back and re-look for patterns and you see that those patterns are there for Mars as well, then you start thinking, okay, so Mars, when is Mars in the sky? Which month is Mars in the sky? Very easy to do when you're reading for yourself, because there's online information everywhere. And when you've got online information, it means that for yourself, you don't do this for a client, obviously, or a person you're reading for, unless they're your mate and you've got plenty of time. It adds fun. It also helps you to identify symbols in cards. A lot of cards have symbols for the planets and the sun signs. A lot do. Some of those are a little bit more subjective, that you know, it's the actual sign that you see representing it. Sometimes it's the actual icon for the constellation, which is a little bit different, like the Sagittarius, horse and the arrow, that kind of thing. The way that goes is, it's probably not a bad thing to learn, so that when you are looking for timing, or if you've got a set of cards that have a reference that they may have not intended to be a sun sign, but when you're looking for timing, it becomes very much a sun sign energy. So it's understanding that we've got all of these things going on. We've got seasons for animals as well. So depending on where you live in the world, you know, swans, there's a swan there. It could be around your area in a particular time, you know, for a month or two, and then they disappear. That happens here, by the way. We've got a whole lot of black swans up in the harbour, and they disappear every year for months. So if you're drawn to that as part of your idea of what a timing sign would be, then it matters, and it gives you this range of time. Now, even if it happens here and it's my summer, the months are the same. You're in March, I'm in March. I'm in summer, I'm in autumn, and you're in spring. So if these animals are in your zone, or any animals are in your zone around that period of time, you're safe to say, well, if I say March, April, it's going to be pretty well bang on for anywhere in the world. If I say spring or summer, that changes depending on where you are, so be a little bit aware of that. So the patterns, you need, if you're going to do a pattern timing spread, you really need 10 cards. It's pretty impossible to get a genuine pattern with less cards. So you're asking a question, you lay out your 10 cards, just 5 at the top, 5 at the bottom, it doesn't matter. 5 at the top, 5 at the bottom are handy because you can see them all without stretching all the way over. And you're looking for elements in the cards. So say you've done the reading and you're thinking, you know, timing's a part of that question. What timing are we looking at here? And look, I've got 2 lightning already. 2 lightnings is kind of important. Now I'll just turn these around, because if we've read the cards, reversals won't matter for timing as such. What else have we got? I've got flowers on the ground, which is sort of reminiscent of autumn, wouldn't you say? And so as we look at things like that, we turn these around. I've got a crab, could be Cancer, see the crab there. It could be something else. If you live in a community where crabs come up out of the water, and it's a thing, not just a nothing, we get crabs at our beaches and so on all the time. It's not a thing. There's not a time where they're all moving around. But if I go to the bottom of the South Island, there's a time when you track crabs. There's a time when they are able to be caught and eaten, if you like. That's optimum, and that's all around the world. We have these different times. So that can be very specific as well, because it's not a long time here. So firstly, I'm going to look at the elements on the card, and I've got 3 fires, I've got 3 waters. I don't think that's enough to say that they alone are going to give me direction. There's 2 equal things there. None of them have an actual sun sign on them for me to think, well, actually, you know, we've got a fire, we've got water, and this is a water sign in here. Therefore, that starts to make sense a little bit. But these 2 have got lightning. Let's have a look at those. You can see the lightning. Sorry. Probably not. Probably best if I just leave them down here, because it's not so shiny, and they're not as bright as the cards actually are colour-wise, but it's easy to see the lightning coming through here, the lightning coming through here. There's a tornado. If you live in a tornado area and you're looking for timing, then that could do it for you without actually going for whole big patterns. But if, for example, none of those things are true, we don't really have tornadoes. For me, the lightning storms, we have probably more of our lightning storms in this country through winter, really. We have our biggest storms in summer, but lightning, we have wind storms in summer, but if we're more likely to get lightning, dark clouds and thunder over our winter frame. So if I was drawn to those, I would think more about winter. And because on one of these cards I would see that as a sunset, it could be a sunrise, but I'm going to pick it as a sunset for today's exercise, and I would sort of start thinking, probably later in the winter. You're getting close to a time frame that matters. To get a time and a date, you need clairvoyance. The cards are not going to do that for you. Really, they're not. So you're getting as close as you can. Because I'm coming into winter, if I read that, I'd be thinking, actually, that's not too far off. We're a couple of months out. But if it's you and you're just coming out of winter, you're talking a year. You're like, okay, it's going to be a year before we come back into those winter months. Or if you have, like Australia has a lot of electrical storms coming into summer, in their spring, early spring, then you might look at a different time frame for that based on what you know about yourself. But if you're Australian reading this, if you're New Zealander reading this, if you're Canadian, if you're in the UK, it doesn't matter when that might be for the other person if you're thinking months. It does matter when you're thinking seasons. So it's really important to get that bit across. I'm in summer, heading into autumn. You're in winter, heading into spring. So if I was reading that for an American, I would be trying to put their time frames into it, not mine. Having said that, if I was thinking, we always have lightning storms in August, well, August is the same all over the world. So that's pretty much what we're talking about. We're a day ahead, not a month ahead. So from a pattern perspective, that's as good as I've got. 2 lightning cards and a 10 card layout is actually significant when it comes to looking at patterns. If I had 4 water... I have got 4 fire signs. Here I was, blind as. If I've got 4 fire signs on their own, but because those lightnings, I would take that away from that and think, no, that's really just 3, and I've got 3 of those. I could go, okay, there's 4 fire signs, 4 fire elements there, so that could be a fire sign. It would be then worth looking at that and going, okay, so which fire sign appears around winter to late winter? That's what I'm looking for. Or in Australia, spring, early spring, more than winter. Late winter, early spring, you follow that. Now, those are the way to look at a pattern. Using Lenormand, just to show you any deck will do, and these are so tiny. I'm going from tiny to huge in a minute. So you lay out your 10 cards again. Now these are a completely different image set. These are the Sacred Souls Oracle are a picture reading deck. They are complex pictures for a reason, so they can allow your intuition to come forward based on what you know, not necessarily based on why I put it there. And so we lay these 10 sweet little cards out, and we've had our reading. Again, we're looking for a pattern for timing, and you can do it. You can sit there and just go, I just want a pattern for timing, but you end up doing a whole lot of readings about one thing. If you want to shorten it, ask your reading and then look for the pattern within it. Let's see, what have we got? We've got a couple of nature indications here. We've got a size. A size is normally sort of swift endings and things changing. I've got pink and purple skies. Oh, look, there's another sky. That's a sky. We've got 4 sky cards. Not to be ignored, right? Books, letterboxes, these sky cards, they're all dramatic skies. I would say these skies, what would you say? If you think in your own mind that this one here's got the clouds, light and dark clouds, this one looks very spring-like, this one looks very early, or we've got foxes here, so it could be that it's an early dawn or a dusk sky. This one here looks very bright and chill. What am I thinking about that? I'm thinking air sign. You see where we're going now? It might not have looked obvious, but I'm thinking now we're talking about an air sign. And we've got numbers on cards, we've got numbers in place. What is attracting? We've got hearts and clubs, just 2 hearts and clubs. So they could play a role, and the king and the queen, you're heading up towards the end maybe of the month. And then of course we've got these 2. If you want to look at those, you might be able to suggest that the 2 hearts, we've got the queen is 12, and then you've got 7, so your 12 and 7 is 19, 1 and 9, or you can reduce that down, 9 and 1 is 10 is 1. So you start looking at it, and when you start checking it with air signs and what their number is in their house, which part of the house they are. For example, say you're asking about finances. If you go to your sun sign, you'll see there's 12 houses, one of which is your finance house. Yours personally, your sun sign, yours. When you look at that, you might discover that in actual fact you'd asked about money, and oh, that's the house that come up. And then you'll see the elements for that for you when they are influencing you this year, okay, which is pretty important. When are they influencing you this year or next time they're influencing you, which may be next year, may have already been and gone this year. This adds huge complexity and real accuracy to your readings when you're doing them for yourself, without you trying to guess, without you trying to hope. There are very real ways in a modern day world that you can just go and get the information that you want, which is pretty awesome. If it makes sense, in line with your question, which is why a question, you never ask timing without a question. These are the Dark Forest Divination set of cards. And so we'll do the same again, just to show you it doesn't matter what your cards are. I would show you a tarot deck, but I'm not finished my tarot deck yet, and I'm not going to show you anybody else's at the moment. While I'm doing this for you, it's also for me. I enjoy them at the moment. These were only published just recently. Now, if you were looking at these for a reading, the one thing, everything that I've just put out there tells you is just forget it, move on. You wouldn't need to go for time. We've got it's over. We've got observer, a stalker, that's somebody who's not really paying a lot of attention. We've got regret. We've got the wraith, which is temporary. We've got sexuality, and we've got addiction. There's enough cards in there to say forget it, okay? But say we really, really want it, and then we want to stick with it. So what commonality have we got in these imageries? It's a little bit harder with these cards. I've already noticed that. So what have we got that's commonality? What does it look like? We've got a house. We've got a house. Does that mean anything for timing? Well, it could do. It could mean the second house, by the way. So we just talked about the houses in the sun sign. They affect you at different times every year, different months. It's not like it's the same. So you look at your second house. What is it? Is that career? Is it love? What kind of sector is it? Does it fit your question? What was your question about? In this case, if I drew this for somebody, the chances are it looks so messy it would have to be about love, and it's not working, and it's not gonna. The journey is learning, and so on and so on. So I've got these two houses, and they really, really strike me. To get two houses, knowing what's in that, it's 78 cards. To get two houses in one layout is a little unusual. We've got sexuality and faith. It's an interesting thing. Somebody's faith is shaken, and so I would look at the second house of the sun sign or the second sun sign. The first one's Aries, the second one is Cancer, is it? So, not sure. Taurus. So as you're looking at these things here, I'm stuck on that. I would sit with that. I would stay and not bother with going any further. Bearing in mind that we've got fast movement in the actual reading, if we were doing one, this means that things are probably going to happen very quickly. It'll be there, then it'll be gone, or it'll flash up and then it will disappear. If it's an opportunity you're looking for, you want to be on board, you want to be ready for it. Then we go, have a look. Happy days, power, the unknown, memory, friendship, lost. What have we got going on? See if we've got timing in here. You look for it, see if you can find it. And this is the last one we're going to do. So I'm not seeing anything that stand out in here. Train, no train. Bird, no bird. Feet, people, feather, ink, happy days. It looks more like a sunset energy rather than a sunrise. It looks kind of pleasant. Flowers on the cups, different lines. Nothing's really striking me here. Everything's kind of eclectic. I'd be going to my clairvoyance, or I'd be saying, you know, you're going to be looking later rather than sooner. And so if you're going to use the cards alone, and these trees, these baubles, they're not real trees, but there is green on the tall ones. They are evergreens, so they're not really indicating much, but they are next to each other. It could help. The baubles, it depends how you feel about those. Do they look like Christmas to you? Maybe Christmas decorations. So you may be saying late in December. That's, if you're doing a real reading, it would be more obvious for you. But that's a potential there, that these two cards would be that late December. For me, December's in summer, so even though you're not seeing snow and stuff for you, if I read that, it's about the month. So this shows me the December, because all of us still pretty much, even if you don't celebrate Christmas, if you're not Christian, or even if you're like me, you just don't any of it, don't care, then it becomes that moment where you're looking at it as what everybody else accepts it to be. What do you see a lot around during that period of time? You see a lot of balls hanging on trees. So that's where I'd go with that. I hope that helps you for a timing spread. And Dorothy Holder's Ultimate Guide to Reading Cards, there are, I think, 4 timing spreads and ways to do it. The whole point of that book is it allows you to learn your cards, really look at them. You know, sometimes, especially with tarot, individuals get so, and I see this all the time on tarot groups, they get so obsessed with learning the meaning of the cards, they stop looking at the cards. And that's not reading cards. Arthur Waite said it in a nutshell in his book, his pictorial key to the tarot, is there is no meaning in cards but their picture. Now you need to understand that picture, you need to know what you're looking for, but when you really look at the cards doing this kind of thing, in the layouts that I give you, I push you to look at your cards a lot, you start to really know what's in them. And so when you've got a person asking you a question and you look at your card, you know exactly what's there. You're not hunting for what's the friendship relate to. It's like, okay, this is a friendship card, it's a comradeship card, it may be a co-worker card, but that is another video. Ciao for now.